this. I'm going to go ahead and get started just because it is time for our meeting to begin. First off, I wanted to thank you all for coming. If you can just, I think Ms. Ahmed is taking attendance, but if you are able to drop your name and your child's name in the chat just for sign-in, we'd appreciate that. Bienvenidos a todos. Voy a comenzar la junta. Si puede dejar su nombre y el nombre de su estudiante en el chat. Ms. Ahmed está tomando la asistencia esta noche. The purpose of our meeting this evening is twofold. We're going to talk about two different opportunities, one this summer in July, and then we're also going to be talking about the upcoming school year. We'll be talking about academics, but also here to answer questions you might have as you're thinking about August, when school will start. I know we're all occupied right now closing out this school year strong, but also want to make sure we have a solid plan for our school community as we head into another school year in August. Son dos cosas que vamos a repasar esta noche. La primera cosa es que vamos a hablar de una oportunidad este verano, de clases de verano para que puedan inscribir a sus alumnos si quieren. También vamos a hablar de nuestro plan para abrir la escuela en agosto. Quizás sus hijos ya han regresado, pero ¿qué son nuestros planes para avanzar académicamente y trabajar como una comunidad en el próximo año escolar? So I'm going to go ahead and get started first by pulling up, and I'm going to share my screen by just reviewing our campus calendar for next year. Let me share that so that what I'm saying makes sense in terms of when everything is happening. I'm going to start off talking about July Intersession, which is called Jumpstart, and then we'll be starting school on August 9th. So what the opportunity I'm talking about right now for the next little bit is happening July 19th through 30th. Those are the last 2 weeks in July. La oportunidad que voy a repasar primero es de un campo de verano que se llama Jumpstart y se va a llevar a cabo las últimas 2 semanas de julio. The first day of school is actually August 9th for all students. And so that's when everyone will return back. But we are offering programming for some scholars those last 2 weeks in July. El primer día escolar es el 9 de agosto y eso es para todos los estudiantes, pero la oportunidad que voy a compartir es para algunos estudiantes este verano. The other thing I wanted to show while we're on the calendar is that while the July opportunity is what we're talking about now, there are 2 other times during the year, the week of January 3rd, and as school gets out, 2 weeks in June, where we'll be offering additional enrichment opportunities and more information to come on that. These are ways that we are working as a school to come back strong and make sure our kids have academic experiences, but also extracurricular opportunities in the upcoming year. Ahorita voy a repasar las oportunidades de julio, pero también les quería indicar en el calendario escolar del próximo año unas oportunidades, una semana en enero y 2 semanas en junio, que son para algunos estudiantes, no solamente oportunidades académicas, sino también oportunidades extracurriculares para que los niños vengan a la escuela y se diviertan. So with that, I am going to go ahead and start talking about the July program. Give me just a minute to switch my screen. And pull up another screen. So I'm going to share this screen. And it's just a simple bit of information. So our July Intersession opportunity, as my computer is loading, is for scholars in July will be for 2 different groups of scholars. It will be for scholars between 3rd and 8th grade. So those are students who are entering 3rd grade up to 8th grade. We will also have an option for our pre-K and kinder dual language students. So I'm going to say that one more time. The program this summer is for scholars who are between 3rd and 8th grade in the upcoming school year, as well as our pre-K and kinder dual language students. La oportunidad de julio este año será para los niños que están entrando entre el tercero hasta el 8º grado y también para los niños de pre-kinder y kinder. I'm going to talk about registration in just a minute, and we'll also actually be sending home a parent letter tomorrow. But this opportunity is available those last 2 weeks of July. And what does that look like? So Intersession is going to be a full day school experience. Sometimes summer school in the past has been a half day, but it is a full day experience. And during that time, we want to provide academic either intervention or enrichment for students, and also some fun opportunities for them to connect with their teachers, with their peers, and learn about different things they might not normally see in the classroom. So some of the plans, for example, that we have are we will continue teaching reading instruction. We will continue with a math block, although we will be planning more open-ended activities for students to be able to preview content that they will be seeing in the grade level ahead of them. But combined with that, we also have some exciting STEM experiences planned. So that are things like experiments with coding and some different science labs that students will be completing. We're going to have kids spending approximately half the day on core academic subjects and the other half of the day on enrichment and physical activities. So we want it to be a fun opportunity for kids that they look forward to coming to each day, but also a great opportunity for them in a smaller group of students to really be set on the right track for the upcoming school year. In pre-K and kinder, we'll continue with early childhood activities, but it's an opportunity for students to have some additional academic time. And then we're also looking at some rising 8th graders also having an opportunity to prepare for taking algebra in the upcoming school year. So those are different tracks that will be going, but again, it is a full day program, and it is going to be a blend of both academic and extracurricular opportunities. Estaba explicando que para el programa de julio estamos aceptando los estudiantes entre el 3er hasta el 8º grado. Así que serán estudiantes que ahorita están en segundo, pero que van a entrar al 3º o van a entrar hasta el 8º grado. También el programa está abierto a los niños de pre-kinder y kinder que están en el programa de lenguaje dual. Y el programa de Intersession sí es para el avance académico, pero también hay actividades extracurriculares. O sea, tendremos la oportunidad para que los niños participen la mitad del día en actividades académicas, principalmente la lectura y las matemáticas, y por la tarde tendrán actividades de enriquecimiento, o sea, tenemos unas actividades de ciencias planificadas. Nuestros entrenadores estarán allí para la actividad física, así que queremos que los niños tengan la experiencia académica, pero también que se diviertan y que estén emocionados para volver cada día. So, that's a general idea of the Jumpstart program. Wanted to pause for a minute, actually, and I'm going to switch screens again. I am going to be sharing in the chat. If you are hearing this opportunity and you're saying, yes, I would like my children, my scholars to participate, you can go ahead and actually register very quickly. It's a simple process. Or if you have more questions, I'm going to open the floor to questions about Intersession in just a minute, but I'm dropping in the chat the survey you would complete with your child's information to be included on rosters for summer Intersession. Voy a parar un minuto y apenas dejé en el chat un enlace para poder completar la inscripción para Jumpstart. Si tiene preguntas, vamos a tomar un momento para contestar preguntas, pero el proceso de inscripción es bastante fácil. So again, our Intersession program is for pre-K and kinder dual language students, as well as rising 3rd through 8th graders. De nuevo, el programa en nuestra escuela será para los niños de pre-kinder y kinder lenguaje dual. y también entre el tercero hasta el octavo grado, los que están entrando para el próximo año escolar. So I'm going to pause for a minute. Families, are there any questions about what I've explained about Intersession thus far? Hay preguntas acerca del programa de verano que tienen. Anyone? You feel also free to message Miss Ahmed in the chat if other questions are coming up. But we hope if your child is in those age groups that you consider sending them this summer. We're excited to have a growing number of scholars attending, and our teachers have been putting some thought into really how to make that experience as fun as possible. Some of them are here tonight. I know Ms. Flagmeyer there and Mr. Rodriguez, I think, and Coach Perez have all hopped in, and they are some of the staff, some of our wonderful staff that are all going to be working that July Intersession. Estaba explicando que los maestros están pensando creativamente cómo pueden crear una experiencia divertida para los niños entre estas semanas, y algunos de los maestros que van a estar trabajando Jumpstart, la señora Flagmeyer, el entrenador Coach Perez y también el señor Rodríguez ya están en la junta también. So one more time, any questions before I move on to the next thing?
Just one question, Ms. Silva.
Yes. Who go ahead.
I guess, puede ser una pregunta para los padres también. Es un programa de académico, para, no es obligatorio, right? It's not or it is?
No es obligatorio. Lo que pasa es que la pregunta es si el programa de Jumpstart es obligatorio. No es obligatorio para la mayoría de los niños. Hay algunos niños que especialmente si estaban batallando académicamente este año, estamos en comunicación con estas familias especialmente para que consideren la oportunidad aún más para sus hijos, si me entiende. Pero no es obligatorio para todos los niños, pero sí será divertido para cualquier niño que asiste. ¿Esto contesta su pregunta, señora?
Yes.
So, de todos modos, si no es obligatorio, si hay un estudiante que sinceramente queremos que venga quizás por haber faltado mucha escuela este año, por ejemplo, estaremos en comunicación con estas familias, pero cualquier familia que tiene alumnos entre estas edades está bienvenida. Okay, so the question from one of our families was whether or not Jumpstart was a mandatory program. And I explained it is not mandatory for all students, and we're offering it for those specific grade levels between 3rd grade and 8th grade, as well as pre-K and kinder dual language students. However, there's some students that we are in communication with those families that we think would really benefit from that additional time and those additional opportunities. So your child may be in that group, and while it's not mandatory, we would strongly encourage it, but all families are welcome to register their students. We're trying to get our rosters finalized as we get out of school and head into the summer so that we make sure that we have our schedule set up and all the resources we need for the camp.
I have a few questions, Ms. Silva.
Go ahead, Mr. Rodriguez.
So on behalf of some of my parents, one question was, are they going to be strictly required to attend all days, or will some absences be tolerated? Another question, of course, is the dates, which I think those have already been provided.
Mm-hmm.
And another question that some parents asked was, are they going to be required to wear their masks during Intersession, during Jumpstart?
Okay.
And then the last question is regarding some of our scholars that have cousins that are also part of SEISD, and if they could also join Intersession as stewards.
Okay, great. So lots of questions. I'm going to try and answer those English and Spanish quickly. The first was the dates, which I'm going out of order, but just to say again, it's our first Intersession. We're going to have different opportunities throughout the school year, but the one we're talking about right now are the last 2 weeks in July, July 19th through 30th. La primera pregunta, las fechas, esa es la primera sesión del año, va a haber otras sesiones a través del año, pero va a ser las últimas 2 semanas de julio, el 19 hasta el 30 de julio. The second question is attendance, will absences be counted against? It's not part of the regular school year, Mr. Rodriguez, but a student should be able to commit to good attendance because that's the whole point of the program, that they benefit from the learning over the course of it. So I would recommend, if a family has an absence that they know maybe there's a specific date, they know they won't be able to make it, that should be okay, but they should be committing to sending their child for the majority of the program just because that's the whole benefit. So I would say, aiming for 9 out of 10 as a good goal, just because, again, we want them to be able to get the full benefit of the program. La segunda pregunta fue si la asistencia, como si les va a afectar si falta. No que sea obligatoria, pero si tiene algo planificado, si tienen que faltar un día. Y le expliqué que sí está bien si falta un día más o menos, pero como familia ustedes sí están haciendo el compromiso de asistir con dedicación, regularmente, con consistencia el programa, porque no van a poder aprovechar de la oportunidad si solamente vienen 3 de los 10 días. Necesitan asistir para poder hacer las actividades que progresan uno tras otro. The next question, Mr. Rodriguez, was masks. I was like, you asked me 4 in a row. Let's see, masks. So as I think many families are aware, mask wearing is no longer required within the state of Texas within schools. That said, we are encouraging mask wearing just because we know COVID is still out there and kids are not yet vaccinated. So we will continue to provide masks to kids who need them, encourage all of our staff to model mask wearing around kids. Even though we're vaccinated, we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to protect kids until there is widespread access for kids. So again, it is not required, but it is part of those strategies we're using as a school to try and remain open and offer programming like this, because we want to be able to have as close to a normal year next year as possible. La segunda pregunta fue acerca de las mascarillas y si los niños necesitan llevar mascarillas. Y estaba diciendo que creo que la mayoría de ustedes ya saben que el estado de Texas ya bajó el orden de requerir las mascarillas en la escuela. Así que no vamos a requerir las mascarillas. Sin embargo, todavía vamos a ofrecer las mascarillas a los niños que las necesitan. Vamos a animar a nuestros empleados, aunque estén vacunadas, que se pongan las mascarillas, porque ahorita, hasta que los niños tengan la oportunidad de recibir una vacuna, es la mejor cosa que podemos hacer para prevenir la contagión de COVID. Así que no vamos a mandar, es la opción de cada familia, pero sí estoy viendo la escuela como es ahorita, sí hay una cultura de ponerse la mascarilla para poder mantener la salud de todos. And then the last question was about cousins. Mr. Rodriguez, I would really have to know on an individual basis in that situation where the student's currently enrolled. They do have to be registered for SASD for the upcoming school year, but I'm happy to connect with those families if you want me to put them into communication with me. La pregunta fue si los primos de unos estudiantes pueden asistir al programa, y dije, pues, no puedo contestar esta pregunta con certeza hasta hablar con la familia, pero si estén en comunicación conmigo, podemos averiguar lo que podemos hacer.
And then Ms. Silva. Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I didn't interrupt.
Go ahead. Ms. Valenzuela has a raised hand as well, I know.
I just want to make sure, because I think that last question kind of goes to Ms. Rodriguez's question she asked. So new scholars for the upcoming year can also register. I just want to be sure.
Yes, as long as they're in those grade levels that we're offering the program to, any student who is new to our campus is eligible. So they need to get registered, but any student who will be starting new to our school is able to register. La última pregunta fue si los estudiantes que son nuevos a la escuela, si pueden venir, y la respuesta es sí. tienen que ser un estudiante que va a asistir nuestra SST en el próximo año escolar, especialmente en nuestra escuela, pero no tienen que esperar hasta agosto si están en uno de estos grados y quieren asistir, sí están bienvenidos. Señora Valenzuela, ¿usted tiene una pregunta?
Sí, yo quería preguntar si va a haber transporte para el FUME.
Sí, va a haber transporte. Ya tenemos la ruta del bus que vamos a estar compartiendo junto con la carta con más información también, pero sí habrá transporte a las rutas normales. The question was if we will be providing transportation, and the answer is yes. We do have a bus route that will be running for the program as well. Y otra pregunta, señora.
Sí, y como aquí nos van a dar una hoja que va a pasar el camión.
Sí.
Y la tengo que escribir, ¿cómo la tengo que escribir?
La tiene que inscribir con la encuesta que dejé en el chat, o si quiere podemos hacerlo por teléfono si tiene dificultad en hacerlo por el enlace. Pero otra vez voy a dejar el enlace. Es bastante sencilla, es muy corta la aplicación. Y sí, ahí se inscribe.
Okay.
Claro que sí.
Gracias.
De nada. El enlace está ahí en el chat. Se puede inscribir ahí. I just was resharing. That is the registration link for families who are like, I want my child to attend. You can go ahead and register right there. Any other questions about Jumpstart? No? Okay, thank you for all those great questions. And spread the word. If you know your family members or your neighbors or your family friends also have scholars attending Democracy Prep, please make sure that they're aware of the opportunity so as many kids can benefit from the offering. Gracias por sus preguntas, que son muy buenas, y favor de ayudarnos con compartir las noticias acerca del programa. Si tiene familiares, vecinos que sus hijos vienen a la escuela, favor de asegurar que ellos también saben que estamos ofreciendo este programa en julio. So the second half of our meeting today is going to focus on planning for the upcoming school year. As many of you have likely heard on the news, one of the things that the government, the federal and state government, are doing in order to help students who have missed school or had challenges because it's been a challenging year has been giving school districts additional funding over the next 3 years. Those funds are called ESSER. What we're going to talk about over the next 10 minutes is what our campus is thinking about doing with this additional funding, but also getting your feedback and your suggestions as to what you think would be beneficial for your child. Como probablemente están viendo en las noticias, las escuelas, por causa de la pandemia, van a recibir fondos adicionales del gobierno federal. Y lo que estaba explicando es con estos fondos los vamos a recibir a través de 3 años para poder recuperar lo que hemos faltado o pues para poder superar el reto de aprender durante una pandemia. Esta noche voy a compartir un poco de información acerca de los fondos y unos de nuestros planes que estamos pensando para el uso del dinero, pero también queremos escuchar por su parte qué sugerencias tienen ustedes como papás para gastar el dinero en una manera efectiva. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen one more time and pull up this presentation. Okay. Thanks for your patience. So we're going to start off, and I'm realizing I shared, but I want to make sure I shared my audio too. One quick second. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Okay. So we're going to start off with a message from Superintendent Martinez talking about how San Antonio ISD is responding to the pandemic, and then we'll talk about the district level, then we'll talk specifically about Democracy Prep at Stewart. Vamos a comenzar con escuchar un mensaje del Superintendente Martínez. Vamos a escuchar su perspectiva del distrito, después vamos a hablar específicamente de nuestra escuela. So here it goes.
Hello, families. I'm Superintendent Pedro Martinez, and today I want to talk to you about how we as a district can transition back into in-person learning with confidence. I want you to know that we will ensure that all students are prepared for success both in and outside the classroom. At the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, San Antonio ISD pivoted to a virtual learning model, accelerating a 3-year one-to-one technology plan to a matter of weeks. We made a pledge to ensure that every student had a device and access to Wi-Fi connectivity so that all of our students could connect with their teachers and engage in meaningful remote learning. We also developed a comprehensive plan to mitigate learning loss and focused on prioritizing the social and emotional health of all of our families. Over 1 year later, San Antonio ISD is committed to a successful transition back to in-person learning. We will work to achieve our goal of ensuring that every student receives a rigorous and enriching educational experience that prepares them for success in college, career, and life. Our special education students, English language learners, and other vulnerable populations are a priority. While the past year has provided challenges, we remain focused on pursuing personalized and equitable learning models that provide access to the tools and resources needed for all methods of learning. Looking ahead to the 2021-2022 school year, we know that our teachers, staff, and families are tired, and that we are all facing challenges. Many of our students need additional support to get back on track. We are committed to making sure that they get all the support that they need. The dollars allocated through the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds, known as ESSER, are critical to getting our teachers and students back on track and ready for the upcoming school year and whatever lies ahead. Your feedback is crucial to us, and we hope you let us know your thoughts via our survey, which can be accessed at the link seen on this screen. On this webpage, you can also watch videos to learn about all the work we've done over the past year and the plans moving forward. Now we'll take a closer look at ESSER funding and how will it affect us here in San Antonio ISD.
ESSER stands for the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund. ESSER 3 is part of the Federal American Rescue Plan and includes those funds that have been released to date. State educational agencies award subgrants to local educational agencies, including San Antonio ISD. These funds are meant to address the impact that COVID-19 has had and continues to have on elementary and secondary schools across the nation. SAISD has been allocated approximately $208 million to be spent by September 2024. The district will be expending ESSER 3 funds over a 3-year period, $70 million in years 1 and 2, and $68 million in year 3. This approach will provide continuity of funding for educational programs to close the gap and address learning loss, as well as to provide social and emotional support, PPE, and other supports. Now we'll take a look at the major areas where ESSER 3 funds will be dispersed here in SAISD. The mental health and well-being of our students is our top priority. As such, our plan to expand support includes hiring additional social workers, therapists, and counselors, and expanding our communities and schools partnerships to 39 campuses. We are committed to ensuring that students who may have experienced learning loss during the pandemic have ample time to catch up and get back on track. As such, we have planned extended instructional time, including additional school and intersession periods that add up to an additional 30 instructional days. This includes the new summer Jumpstart program, which will run July 19 through 31st. Campus leadership, including principals, assistant principals, and master teachers, will also work additional days to ensure our kids receive the support they need and deserve. We know that it'll take additional resources and team members to make sure our students have all the recovery support they need moving forward. That's why our plan includes deep, meaningful supports, including staff dedicated to remote learners. That way, no teachers have to teach in-person students and remote students at the same time. More family engagement activities, added teachers for fine arts, P-TECH, LOTC, and other growing programs, and a significant investment in special education resources. We will also have expanded, robust extracurriculars, including clubs and sports, and next year, no art teacher will be split in more than 2 schools. 100% of our students have access to fine arts programs, and our investments in arts and extracurriculars continue to expand. We will also continue to enhance our filtration and ventilation systems and ensure that we remain vigilant about sanitizing, disinfecting, and cleaning. We also plan on investing in additional shields and protective gear as needed. Our employees have gone above and beyond during COVID, working longer hours to make sure our students are protected and supported. As such, we plan to increase pay for all full-time employees by 2% and increase our minimum base hourly pay from $15 to $16 an hour. We'll also make sure more dollars stay in our employees' pockets by expanding benefits and not increasing premiums. Finally, you can learn more about ESSER and submit comments, questions, and feedback by visiting our website at saisd.net/ESSER. Here you'll find educational videos, FAQs, individual campus plans, a link to a survey, and more. Thanks for listening in. We value your input and hope you'll help us plan for the upcoming school year. Now, let's take a closer look at your campus plan.
And I know all that information was in English. Yo sé que el video estaba en inglés. Para las familias, si algunos quieren quedarse después, podemos ver el video entero en español, pero básicamente estaba explicando unas cosas. Primero, el superintendente habló de cómo nosotros, como un distrito escolar, respondemos a la pandemia y los retos del año pasado y lo que vamos a hacer para prepararnos en los años que vienen. El dinero de ESSER va a durar por 3 años y son 3 prioridades esencialmente que el distrito va a enfatizar en los próximos años. Yo en un momento voy a compartir unos de los planes que tenemos ahorita en Democracy Prep at Stewart, pero también al final de la presentación queremos escuchar por parte de ustedes que ustedes ven viendo la experiencia de sus hijos que necesitamos en la escuela en los próximos 3 años. So,
Hello.
So we are currently having our community meeting. We're going to have another meeting actually this Friday as well, and gathering your feedback. You're going to have an opportunity to give feedback via a survey and also out loud at the end of today's meeting. But you can go to www.sisd.net/ESSER to see many more details about the district's plan. Hoy día tenemos una junta de la comunidad, pero también vamos a ofrecer otras sesiones de viernes. Si usted quiere más información, se puede visitar este sitio de web, www.sisd.net/ESSER, para ver más del plan del distrito. Ahora vamos a hablar de nuestro plan y ustedes pueden dar por una encuesta sus ideas o también nos pueden dar sus ideas y sugerencias en voz alta. So, what is our plan? So we are still in the beginning stages as we figure out exactly what supports and funding through the district will be coming our way. But here are some of the ideas that we are planning on. First off, resuming services with communities in schools. So that was one of the programs mentioned by Superintendent Martinez. Communities in Schools brings social workers to campus to be able to help support with additional resources for scholars, whether it's offering extracurricular activities and after-school care or additional counseling and services for students. We also know that many families have really been facing lots of difficulties over the past year, and their support in working with families who need support with getting their child to school and other attendance issues will definitely be beneficial. La primera cosa que estamos pensando para el próximo año con los fondos de ESSER es involucrar el apoyo de communities in schools, las comunidades en las escuelas. Y este es un programa para tener otro personal aquí en la escuela que está dedicado al salud o al bienestar socioemocional de los estudiantes. Nos pueden ayudar con programas después de la escuela, también sesiones de consejería o también pueden ayudar a las familias que necesiten apoyo con su asistencia en la escuela. We also are looking at adding some additional instructional support, and that means additional people inside classrooms. In particular, 2 areas where we are looking to add additional employees are in special education. We know some students in special education have missed services and additional support, and we want to be able to give them additional time in small groups in the upcoming year. We also know that many of our youngest students had a hard time learning how to read on Zoom because it's not the same as being in a classroom with a teacher. And we would like to dedicate additional staff to supporting kids in small group to get their reading progress underway. Otra prioridad que tenemos aquí en Democracy Prep son empleados adicionales, básicamente más personas para los salones para estar ayudando a las maestras principales. Especialmente cuando estamos viendo las necesidades de los estudiantes, son más apoyo en la educación especial. Hay algunos niños que han faltado servicios por no estar en la escuela y necesitan recuperar tiempo y tiempo en un grupo pequeño. Y también intervencionistas de lectura, porque especialmente en los grados menores fue muy difícil para los niños aprender a leer a través de Zoom. Así que queremos que los niños tengan la experiencia con una persona licenciada en aprender a leer y captar unas cosas que han faltado este año. The last thing is we will be expanding tutoring and extracurriculars and following the Intersession calendar with additional school days. So we want to make sure that we are able to provide transportation so that all students are able to attend those opportunities. We will be having regular after-school clubs. We're very excited to get back to those on a regular basis and want to make sure that we pay for transportation for all of those activities. La última cosa es el transporte. Después de la escuela para la tutoría y también los programas extracurriculares. Ya hablamos un poco de Intersession, que vamos a ofrecer durante semanas específicas, 5 semanas a través del año, pero también tendremos actividades, los clubes, los deportes para los niños después de la escuela y queremos que cualquier niño que quiere pueda participar. So, Mr. Rodriguez, with the questions, does that include sports and field trips? So, great questions, Mr. Rodriguez. Sports is already built into our budget. We will be participating in the Academy League with SASD in 7th and 8th grade for next year. We're also looking at some rec options, but we for sure will have our middle schoolers participating in 7 total different sports over the course of the year. Pregunta por parte de Mr. Rodriguez que si este plan también incluye los deportes y las excursiones. Estoy explicando que los deportes ya están en nuestro plan básico sin los fondos de ESSER y que nuestros alumnos del 7º y 8º grado estarán practicando deportes en la liga de academias y son 7 deportes en total. Así que sí nos ayuda en que todos los niños puedan participar en las prácticas. So that does help us so that all students can attend practices. Field trips are not, to my knowledge, necessarily included in ESSER, but we are planning on having field trips, and we do have money in our regular budget for next year. I think we want to get our kids back out into the community. In the middle school grades, our end-of-year trips are something that makes Democracy Prep very unique, and we haven't been able to do them the past 2 years, so we're really excited for our 6th through 8th graders to have end-of-year out-of-state experiences, but we want every student to have multiple opportunities to see different parts of the San Antonio and Texas world around them throughout the year, so that's something that we will definitely be planning. Estaba diciendo que las excursiones no necesariamente son parte de los fondos de ESSER, pero sí las vamos a tener en la próxima semana. En middle school especialmente, las excursiones al final del año en que los niños viajan afuera del estado, son parte que nos hace único como escuela, porque no hay muchas escuelas que ofrecen esto. Desafortunadamente no lo hicimos los 2 años, durante los últimos 2 años porque no podíamos, pero sí estamos planificando todo para el próximo año escolar. E incluso cualquier grado que queremos que tengan varias excursiones a través del curso del año. Great questions, Mr. Rodriguez. We're getting to the end of my presentation, and it is time for 2 different things: for additional questions, for you to give feedback on the survey that I'm sharing on this screen, but also you can give feedback out loud since we're in the room. I'd love to hear from families what you think is important, what we should be planning for as we think about how to spend this additional money. Son 3 cosas, mientras casi vamos a acabar la junta. Puede dar, este es el enlace es el QR code para dar información al distrito escolar, qué son sus prioridades, y esta información va directamente al distrito escolar. Pero también ustedes nos pueden hacer preguntas y también sugerencias aquí, porque estamos aquí para escuchar qué son sus ideas o las necesidades que ustedes notan en nuestra escuela que debemos considerar para el uso del dinero. So I'm going to stop talking. What questions or suggestions do families have? ¿No hay preguntas ni sugerencias? ¿Ideas que ven ustedes como mamás, como papás que necesita la escuela en los próximos 3 años? What are things that you see that you want to make sure we're thinking of as we're planning for the next 3 years?
Yo solamente quiero agradecerle, Ms. Silva, porque las cosas que ya mencionó, yo creo que se enfocan en lo que más necesitan los niños, lo que es communities and schools, la salud emocional y mental de los niños, lo que es las excursiones, lo que son los deportes y sobre todo el apoyo adicional en educación especial. Yo creo que esas cosas son las prioridades en mi punto de vista como maestro, y yo creo que también muchos padres van a estar muy contentos con esa noticia.
Gracias, Mr. Rodriguez. Anyone else? So make sure you fill out the survey. You can scan it or you can go to www.ssd.net/ESSER. ¿Otras preguntas, sugerencias? ¿Cómo estás, Naomi? Se escondió.
Irina. Muy
Oh.
bien.
Veo la mitad de su cara. Ay, ahí está.
Ya que pues nos mencionó, vamos a participar un poquito. Sí, mire que los planes para el próximo año con los fondos que dice usted, pues está muy bien. Y sí me gustaría que se enfocaran bastante en ayudarles en apoyo extra en lo que es inglés.
En inglés, ok.
En este caso, por ejemplo, como mis niños, que ellos son muy fuertes en español, pues necesitarían mucho apoyo en el idioma inglés, ¿verdad? Y
Okay.
sí fuera bueno que hicieran clases extras, que hubieran maestros que hicieran extras con ellos en los idiomas más en inglés para los niños que tienen más necesidades en el idioma inglés.
Ok, gracias, señora. Otras ideas, otras sugerencias, other suggestions, other questions? Well, I thank you so much for your time. That is all that I had to share this evening, and I know we've taken a good 45 minutes of your time. I am happy to stay on and share that same video in Spanish if you'd like to see it. I'll translate that in a second, or if you have additional questions. Gracias por haber venido, gracias por su tiempo. Yo me voy a quedar para ver si unas familias quieren ver el mismo video en español, pero les agradezco su tiempo. Si pueden, antes de que vayan, si quieren inscribirse para Jumpstart, de nuevo voy a compartir el enlace una vez más. y también completar la encuesta de los fondos de ESSER. So as you're going, if you want your child to attend Jumpstart and haven't registered, drop the link in the chat one more time, and you can also give your feedback on how we're using our ESSER funding. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Sorry, Mr. I was trying to talk earlier. I lost signal. I apologize.
It's okay. Did you have a comment or a question?
No, I was just gonna put out the information for the physicals in case parents were interested in athletics. And I was trying, and right when I tried to jump in, it just cut out. I had to come out the building. So I apologize for that.
It's okay. Do you want to share now?
Yeah, if they're still there, I wouldn't
There's
mind.
still some families here, so go for it.
Okay. Yeah. Just a heads up, parents, if you're interested in playing athletics for DP next year, if you're in 7th or 8th grade coming into 2021-2022 season, Ortho SA and Christus Healthcare, they're giving out free physicals from 9 o'clock to noon in the afternoon on Saturday, July 31st. If you take your scholar there, they will give you guys a free physical at the Alamo Convocation Center. So it's a free physical, and a physical is required to play sports for DP Stewart, and we're providing it free. So from 9 to 12 on July 31st at the Alamo Convocation Center, if you come down, they'll take care of you and get you guys a physical. Coach, the AD, athletic director, Coach Sancho's putting together packets if you would like to pick up some paperwork at the school, or you could pick up paperwork there and fill out your packets there for your scholar.
Thank you so much, Coach Perez. Coach Perez es uno de los entrenadores de nuestra escuela y ellos están muy emocionados para nuestros equipos de deportes y estaba compartiendo información acerca de un día en julio, el 31 de julio, en el Alamo Convocation Center, que está en el centro de la ciudad. Van a ofrecer los exámenes físicos para poder participar en los equipos gratuitos a las familias. Así que si su hijo está entrando 7º o 8º y quiere estar en el equipo, tendrá que tener este examen, pero lo puede hacer sin pagar al fin de julio. Y vamos a mandar más recordatorios, pero también puede contactar a los coaches con preguntas. Okay, thanks, Coach Perez. Thank you to the teachers who came this evening. We appreciate your attendance, and thank you so much, families. I think that concludes our meeting. Gracias a todos. Creo que ya es todo. Que tengan una buena noche.